MJ and facilitator for these sessions. Sumeet is our speaker. We will get to know more to each other, share more about Agile 30. So what are we doing? So we are part of a community that all the Agile enthusiasts connect globally. So in this community, we also focus on learning, building some learning trades, and share some insights through the vibrant community platforms. Then the next what we can offer is we can push your skill. And then we also provide Agile process, technical, product development, leadership knowledge. So we will have a group set up and everything else like now is free. And there's some meetup and some conferences. And also this program will involve some coaching, teaching, and arrange some opportunity for you to speak at webinars. So, or any events at future. I can share have some blogs and videos and some sound learning for you to go through. And then the next is a top-notch mentorship program without a table bag. Because the best part is it is a community. Agile is a community with no associated cost. So you can just share expenses with external coaches and trainers involved. But for this case, like Sumeet offer about 3 sessions. So we will invite more and more. So beyond the activities and the training, please make use of this Agile 30 community, be a partner and professional growth. So we can make use of this hashtag Agile 30 and Agile community. We also have some platform. Please follow us where you can pick out your phone and then go to the link. It's a group called the Agile 30. Feel free to join it so that we can share your ideas with what is the latest updates. And also we have a Facebook group. All these we will always share what is the coming events and webinars that you can join, which is related to what you want. And then we also have the Meta group. You can also sign up. Then the last but not least is our website, agile30.org. So there's a main first-hand resource that you can always get updated.
A lot of people are having a confusion that who is a product manager, who is a product owner. We are in Agile world, but we are having a mix of Agile and waterfall in our company. We don't have a role defined like product owner. We are having a product manager, where project manager fit into that. We are having another role called as business analyst also. My question is why there is so much of confusion? When we work on a deliverable value, when we talk about a product, is a project manager, product owner, business analyst. What is that? And what is more important in product, the roles or the product management? So whenever we work in an organization, you often hear these 2 terminologies. One is project, another is product. That is why there are a lot of terminology being used. When we talk about a project, we always think about project manager, business analyst. When we talk about product, we always think about product managers. But what exactly the project and product is? And are we working on projects or are we working on products? Is it like a project is a subset of a product or product is a subset of a project? So let's understand this part first. Now, if I'll go to this institute, PMI, because they are the one who coined this terminology of project. In the PMI website, it is very clearly mentioned what is the definition of a project. They say project is a temporary initiative or an endeavor that is having a specific start date, that is having a specific end date. So when it will start, when it will end. And during this time, you work on a defined scope within budget and you deliver something. This is what mentioned in the PMI website. A temporary initiative with a specific start date, a specific end date to work on a defined scope within budget and deliver something. Which means it's just a process. It's just a way of work. You are using some approach to deliver. And the output of this, they said this is something we call it as product, which could be tangible. Like you are using some products like watch, phone, I'm using Apple Pencil. These are tangible products. Or it could be an intangible like service. For example, in Agilemania, we provide training services. We are providing consulting services. Software as a service. Those are nothing but services. Those are also products. So which means at the end of the day, we always work towards delivering a product. If that is the case, then what is the definition of a product? Now, the definition of product says something which is created. something which is produced or manufactured, which is being sold or marketed as a commodity. I'm talking about commercial products, which is sold or marketed as a commodity in order to deliver a value. Value to who? The value to the consumer of the product, the person who's going to consume the product, as well as who is producing the product. I often take an example of that. I'm having an Apple pencil in my hand. There's a company, Apple, who has created this. They have produced it. They are selling this product to the market. And somebody is consuming this product. In my case, I'm the one who's consuming or the user of the product. It is delivering a value to me. That is why I'm using it and I've paid for it. The value for me is I can put my thoughts into visuals and text and can better engage my candidates. And the value for a producer or Apple is maybe revenue, maybe happiness, maybe customer retention. That value could be anything for them. So this is what the definition of product is. Now, in this case, if you see, there are two prominent things. One is scope, another one is value. In the project, we always talk about scope. Where in the product, we always talk about value. So we are actually delivering something to our end customer. The something that is going to the customer is a product, and the approach that we are taking to build the product is called as project. So we are not going away from project and product terminology. It is there in the industry and it is going to stay. So does that mean the project part is done by a project manager and the product part is done by product manager? Maybe yes. Then where Scrum come into the picture, where product owner comes into the picture? Let's understand this part now. In order to understand this part, it's very important for you to understand product management first. Because product management or the product under product. But in order to understand the product management, we have to understand one more thing, which is product life cycle. So this is what we have to understand first. Now, what do you mean by product life cycle? See, product life cycle is nothing but the same thing which is related to life cycle. Something comes to the existence and it goes out of the existence. And then again, it comes back to the existence. Again, it goes out of the existence. That is called as life cycle. Human life cycle, cradle to grave again. So same way, in product also, you're having a cycle, which is called as product life cycle. The product life cycle goes through the different phases of life cycle. What are those? This side is called as value. Value over the period of time. The whole life cycle comes into the value part. So let's understand what is this. So it goes through 5 different phases. A lot of time people consider it as 4 different phases also, but I'll leave it on to you. I'm just going to tell you what are the different 5 phases of a product life cycle. I'm sure few of you must have known to these phases. The first phase is the one where product idea comes into existence. You got an idea, you saw a problem and you got an idea that, okay, yeah, I can solve this problem. So idea got generated. Now, once you get an idea, it's not like that, okay, you got to know everything about the product and you start working on that. You undergo a stage which is called as discovery. In a lot of places, they call this as an inception stage also. This is when you will start to work on the research part of the product. You have to do a lot of research around that idea. Once you do a research, you'll get to know about what needs to be built, what problem you're trying to solve, what value you're trying to generate. Now you get to know about something about the product, that what you have to build, requirements kind of stuff. Then you'll pick up a team, you will secure a budget, you'll prepare a strategy, roadmaps, everything gets discussed or built in this particular stage. Then you build the product and you bring the product to the market when you make a launch of the product. A lot of time people say MVP, minimum viable product, we have to bring it to the market. That minimum viable product bringing to the market is called as launch. Now, once you will launch the product into the market, people will use it and they'll give you feedback or they'll ask you more. You'll start to do the analysis of the market or you will start to pick up the feedback from the market. That is where you will bring innovation in your product and your product will see a growth. It will grow. More and more value will start to come up now. A point will come when your product will become mature. There's a point where you will not make any more innovation to that, but you'll just maintain it. And then decline. Decline means you have decided to take the product out of the market. And there could be multiple reasons for a product to go out of the market. For example, the competition is too high, business direction change, customer needs change, which your product is not able to serve. In those kind of situations, you may take a conscious call to take the product out of the market. So typically, this part, value for any commercial product, is revenue. We try to make money. This part is called as positive side, which means you are actually making money out of it. This part is called as investment, which means you are not wasting your money or you are not going into the negative, but you are making an investment into your product. And this line goes like this. And then over here, this is how the growth looks like. And then comes the tipping point. This is called as your tipping point. And this is where we decide that, okay, whether we have to continue with the product or we have to take the product out of the market. This is called as product lifecycle. Now, during this product lifecycle, there are a lot of activities happen. Because if at all you're working on a product lifecycle, there are a lot of activities that you do on the product. All these activities that happens on the product throughout the product lifecycle is called as product management. Now, this is called as product. The activities that happens on the product throughout the product lifecycle. With me, now we understand what is a project. We understand what is a product. We also understood what is the product lifecycle and what is the product management. Now, if at all there are so many activities involved, we need people also who will manage these activities. This is where the roles will come into the picture now. Now, see, product management is not something that started in the industry with the introduction of Agile. Product management is there from centuries. First aeroplane was a product. At that time, Agile way of Scrum was not there. First steam engine was a product. First television was a product. And the product lifecycle is there in those products, and the product management also happens. But then how they were doing it? So in order to understand that, first of all, let's understand the product quadrant. So there's something called as product quadrant. Actually, I'm talking about 4 areas. This part is called as strategy. So which means you have to work on the strategy part of your product. So let's say this is a strategy. If the strategy is there, then strategy has to be executed also. So this part is called as execution and operations. Now there could be some strategical decision. There could be some execution part which you will keep internal to the organization. And there could be something which is market facing, where you actually need to understand the market, you have to go to the market. So this is how they actually form a quadrant. This is called as strategy quadrant. This quadrant is called as research. This quadrant is called as operations. And this quadrant is called as development. The whole product management lies in these quadrants now. The roles also come into these quadrants. Now the business will try to build a strategy in order to identify what kind of problem they want to solve and what kind of product they want to work on. Then comes your product planning. If you have identified that what problem are you trying to solve and what product are you trying to build, the product planning starts. In the product planning, the first thing comes product funding. So somebody has to sponsor from where to get the money. As a part of your product strategy, we work on creating the vision of the product, creating goals, or you can say milestones, creating roadmap. So this is also a strategic part. Then comes, if at all your product is there in the market and you want to take the product out of the market, the product retirement strategy. It is not like that tomorrow you come and they said, okay, we're not going to work on this product, so take the product out of the market. It doesn't happen like that. You have to prepare a proper strategy for that. How you will take the existing customer to the new product. How you're going to retain your customers. Still, you are actually taking the support out. So there's something called a product retirement strategy. So whenever Microsoft launch a new version of the Windows in the market, they actually remove the support of the older versions. It's not like that one day they decide that, okay, Windows 11 is going to the market. Now we are not going to support Windows 7. No, it doesn't happen like that. They prepare a proper strategy that how they have to remove the support. So that's called as retirement strategies. Now, there could be some research activities, strategical activities, which are market facing. That's where you do a research. What kind of activities fall over here? You say market and user research, marketing and sales. Depending upon what is the demand in the market, you work on the pricing models. And these pricing models, you keep on taking a feedback and inspect and adapt. You launch the product and you see what are the reactions, product communications, and many more. Then comes the operational activities which are market facing. Consider that your product is there in the market and you're providing a support, you're providing operations on that. What comes over here? Customer operations like onboarding the customer, retaining the customer, deboarding the customer, customer complaints. Then comes the product operations. Product operations means building the infrastructure, maintaining that infrastructure, scalability, extensibility of the product, availability of the product, product quality. So these are nothing but the operational part. Then comes the execution activities on your strategy, which is internal to the organization, and that is called as product development. Now this part is called as product development. And the product development, what we usually work on? So we work on the requirements, product requirements. Then you work on the product risks, product development budget, which comes from your product funding. Then you talk about your stakeholders over here. You deal with the stakeholders. Here you deal with the releases, how you gonna release the product to the market, what is gonna be your release strategy. Then here we talk about the people who are gonna work on the product, the process they're gonna use to work on the product, and delivery. Now, this is nothing but, I would say, the product management activities. And it varies companies to companies. You might be having some more elements on the strategical part, which is market facing. You might be having some more elements which are strategic in nature and internal to the organization. So there could be a possibility. Now, if you look at closely at this part, from here to here, this part is nothing but project management. Now, if you go to the PMI, they say we are working on the projects. You know, a temporary initiative with a specific start date, end date to work on the defined scope within the budget and delivering something. Start date, end date, timelines, releases, how you're going to make a release. Scope is nothing but your requirements. Who is involved in those requirements are your stakeholders. Budget is involved. People who are going to work on those requirements to finish within the time. So that is nothing but a project management. As I mentioned, the product management or the products are not something that came into the market with Agile. It is there from ages. Previously, Agile was not there. So what we were using, what approach we were using, the prominent approach for the product management or the product development, waterfall was used. And in the waterfall approach, there is one role that takes care of all the project management activities. So that is where a role came, which is project manager. Clear now? Which means this part from here to here. This is the product development quadrant. And previously we were using waterfall. So the role was project manager. Development part is taken care. But how about the other three quadrants? These quadrants are also very important. And over here, there is another role. And this role is product manager. So this is where the journey started. And I'm talking about the software part now. So when we were building softwares like 20 or 30 years back, we were using waterfall. This is how it was. Product manager. What is the role of a product manager? Product manager is a strategical role which is market facing. Project manager is an execution role which is internal to the organization and takes care of the project management. So this is more of an inward role. And this is an outward role. Now clear? The product manager versus project manager. So now the software industry was working like that. But after some time, they started to realize that waterfall is not helping them to deliver the products with the quality or with on time, or the failures were more. Why? Because we expect that scope has to be fixed in the waterfall situation. It has to be fixed. But nowadays, when we are dealing with the market, we know the requirements are evolving. People needs are changing. Competition is too much. When you are actually having a lot of competition, when the needs are changing, we enter into a complex environment where we start to deal with a lot of unknowns. Now, when you're dealing with a lot of unknowns, when you're in a complex environment, you need an adaptive approach. You cannot work on a plan-driven approaches like waterfall. Scrum was introduced as an adaptive approach for the product development. So now when Scrum came into picture, how this quadrant started to look like. So this part, because product management was same, whether you're using waterfall or whether you are using Scrum, product management is going to be same. So when this came into picture, Waterfall got replaced. So we are not going to work on waterfall. We are actually going with agile way of working, and we are having Scrum. Scrum came with its own structure, and Scrum says that we are actually not having a role called as project manager. Remember, they just mentioned role is not there. They never mentioned we don't need a person also. So role was not there. Why? Because Scrum introduced their own role. As product owner, they introduce a new role, which is Scrum Master, and they also introduce developers or development team. A lot of places we say this. Where if the role called as project manager is gone, does that mean the project management is also gone? If you don't have a role called as project manager in Scrum, does that mean the project management is also not there? Does that mean we don't have a requirement? Does that mean we are not dealing with risk? Does that mean we don't need budget? Everything is needed. Project management is still needed. Only the project manager role is gone. Why? Because waterfall is not there. Now we are working on adaptive. But if project management is still there, then who will manage it? Because somebody needed for that. That is why they say this team is called as Scrum team, and the Scrum team will manage the project management. The business side of the product development, which is this side, from here to here. Requirements, risk, budget, stakeholders, this is called as business side of the product development. They say this part is under product owner. The people enablement and process goes under Scrum Master. Scrum Master will take care of that. And the delivery part, we are making developers accountable, so they will take care of that. So the project management taken care. This is where the introduction of product owner happened. Now, if somebody asks you what's the difference between product manager and a product owner, so product manager is still a strategical role, which is market facing. Product owner is an execution role, which is internal to the organization and represent only the business side of the product. In this case, project manager was an internal role, execution part, and was taking care of the project management. But in this case, we are having a product owner, which is internal role, execution role, and takes care of only the business side of the product. Now, clear on this part? This whole concept, if you'll see, roles are changing, but not even a single element of project management is changing. Have you changed any of the elements of the project management? So still strategy is there, funding is there, vision, goal, roadmap, everything is there, correct? We are just saying that X person will take care of the strategical part, market facing part, and Y will take care of the internal and execution. In 2010, what happened? These two gentlemen, Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schwaber, they introduced a Scrum guide. And when they introduced a Scrum guide, they made the Scrum roles accountability very clear. And what they did, they made product owner as an accountable person for success of the product. Until 2010, this model was working fine. And after 2010, when Scrum guide made product owner roles very clear, then the problem started. They say in order to make a product successful, we need a lot more than what requirement, risk, budget, stakeholder, and releases are. We need more than that. Just by managing the requirement, just by managing risk, budget, stakeholder, and releases, it is not possible for anyone to make a product successful in the market. So they asked, what else is needed? They say we need this access. We need to understand how the customers are feeling, how the product operations are working. They say we need access to this area also. We need to understand how the market is moving. What is the response of the market? We have to do research. Then we also need to take care of the strategy part, which means in order to make a product successful, one needs all the 4 quadrants. Then only you can actually make a product successful. So does that mean the product owner is actually going to take care of all the 4 quadrants now? Yes, if at all you're making that person accountable, then that person will take care of this. But then we are having this person sitting over here. What should I do with this person? So if you will look at the Scrum framework, Scrum is having only 3 roles: product owner, Scrum Master, and developers. They say there's nothing called as product manager. So only in the context of Scrum, your Agile product manager got renamed as product owner now. Now this person just got renamed, rebadged to product owner. And then we are actually moving this part. which is success from here to here. Now you can make this person accountable for the success. We moved success over here. In the context of Scrum, I'm talking about only in the context of Scrum now, which means a product owner is a person who does the product management part. Clear on this part now? And in order to do all the product management activities, we need product owner to have some stances. This person has to wear multiple hats now. Stances like this person needs to have a visionary stance. This person should be able to envision the product, long-term future state of the product, that how the product is going to be. We expect this person to be a collaborator, because now if at all the person is taking the product management activities, the person needs to interact with a lot of department, maybe user research team, maybe your marketing team, sales team, maybe your business people, maybe your CXOs, maybe the operations team. This person needs to have a collaborator stance. This person needs to be a customer representative, which is more like you need to understand what is the pain point of your customer. What are their needs? What are their pains? What are their gains? What is the value for them? So for that, you may need to get into the shoes of the customer. So customer representative. Then we want this person to be a firm decision maker, because if at all the whole success of the product lies with you, then you need to take some decisive decisions sometime. So we want you to have a stance of a decision making. Then comes the innovation part, how you can make your product live longer into the market. So you need to be innovative in your product. So this is where your experimenter stance comes into the picture. And when you're dealing with a lot of people in the product part, maybe you're dealing with vendor, business people, operations, you need to have an influential skills also. So this is more of an influencer part. So in order for you to have a successful product into the market, we expect a person to be visionary, collaborator, customer representative, decision maker, experimenter, and influence. Now in the context of Scrum, we expect product owner to do this. But what if we are not into Scrum? What if we are actually using another framework like Scaled Agile framework or a Spotify or a large scale Scrum or a Scrum at scale? If your product is small, this works perfectly fine, no issues. Nothing wrong in those rules. But you need to understand that what accountability you hold. Are you accountable for the success of the product? If yes, how does it matter whether you're a product owner or a product manager? In order to make a product successful, you need a product management. You need to have these kind of stances. Whether these stances are played by a product owner or a product manager or a business analyst or by anyone else, doesn't matter. You need to be considerate about the product management part. This part, whether it's a product manager or a product owner, leave it onto the framework that you're using. Whatever the structure you're using, whatever that structure says, follow that terminology. It will solve the problem.
I actually have the questions. What you can advise or tips for them to continue the learning journey?
You see, the journey for the product management is very simple. You start from small and then grow. I have seen that people understand the product, because sometimes it's highly unlikely that we'll start to get a chance to work on a greenfield product, which is from starting, from the strategical part. Most of the time, we actually get into a product which is already there in the market, correct? So first of all, you need to understand what this product is all about, domain knowledge. Once you start to get a domain knowledge, you will understand that what value you're trying to deliver. Then you'll start to get into the product development part. Once you'll get into the product development, maybe you're playing a role of a business analyst or maybe a role of a product owner, depending upon what framework they're using. Then you'll start to get into the research part, that how you understand who's your persona. Then you will actually get into that, how I can collaborate with the other people who are involved in the product management, how I can be part of the strategical decision. So this is a journey. Now, is there anything that can help you with that? Yes, knowledge always helps. There are some techniques, there are some tools that you can use in the product management that we usually cover in a lot of trainings which are available in the market. We are also dealing with those kind of trainings on the product ownership from scrum.org, training for the POPM, product owner, product management training from SAFE, training for the product owner in the less environment. So we are actually having those offerings. But everything has to be done by you. We can just impart that knowledge to you. But you are the one who has to work at the ground level. So you can start with the product development, move to the research, come to the operations, and then get into the strategy. But for you to understand the product management skills, you need to have a knowledge about all the 4 quadrants.
This is about the main takeaways. So what help you understand is it meet your learning objective for the sessions? Yeah. And also get to know some safe, Scrum, new keyword, product quadrants. Yeah. So there is a product life cycle you get to know, and then PO is doing PM role nowadays. Yeah. So there is no differentiate. So it doesn't mean that the product manager or project manager will be replaced. Okay. So just switching the role. So yeah, basically this is the takeaway. So also the accountability of the roles. We invited more people to take product management and project management, how they take the accountabilities without relying solely on the manager's role. So last but not least, what product management topic you would be most helpful for you and in your current role?
Whatever the feedback you will give us, we will pick up that topic for the next webinar. Maybe I will do it or somebody else will do it. And in some of the topic which can be explained with the very minimal information, we will try to write a blogs on that, or we do create a doodle videos. We'll try to create some videos for your information.
So looking at what we understand just now from Sumeet, in fact, BA also is kind of another name to the product owner or product manager. So precisely who will be the one in the team to execute this one?
So if we understand this point that project management stays with the Scrum team now, in case you are using Scrum. I would say the whole team is responsible for that. But in this whole team, if team decide that, okay, can we nominate one person who will do the coordination part, let team decide. Most of the time, in my career, most of the time, you know what happened? We make 1 or 2 people accountable for that. One, by default, BA comes. That, okay, BA, you are the one who has to coordinate. Scrum Master comes, Scrum Master, you have to make sure people are helping us. So either one person will do, multiple people do, doesn't matter. But as a team, let them decide.
In summary, in fact, this is not the actual role of a BA when it comes to the Scrum context or even Agile. So it's a Scrum team. Somebody, have to take the lead and say, okay, I do it to decide from the Scrum team. Okay, good, thanks.